I've spent years in Pakistan, and it's a country that I truly love. I find it very peaceful and very friendly. But over the last year, bomb blasts and suicide attacks are surging. Targeting innocent civilians and even a mosque right in the heart of Islamabad. People thought these dark days were long gone, but they're back with a vengeance. So who's behind this? Who's orchestrating these cowardly attacks? Who's really pulling the strings? Let's dive in. Here's what Pakistan is actually up against. Since October 2025, Pakistan has endured over 1,000 violent incidents linked to the TTP, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Brutal attacks on police convoys, assaults on paramilitary bases, and in February a horrifying strike on a mosque in Islamabad. Can you imagine doing that to a mosque? A place of worship. That's how bad it is. That's how bad these people are. So Pakistan clearly had no choice but to act. So you could say they forced Pakistan's hand. Like I said, nobody wants war. Nobody wants to see war. Especially if you don't want to go to war with your neighbours. But when your neighbours are harbouring terrorists who are blowing up mosques, what else are you supposed to do? Pakistan had no choice but to retaliate. So Pakistan launched Operation Gazap Lil Haq, a series of precision strikes targeting TTP militant camps on Afghan soil. And it doesn't matter which way the Indian government or the Indian news like to spin it. These were precision strikes targeting TTP operations. They weren't targeting Afghan civilians. The Pakistan army or the people of Pakistan, they don't have any problems with the Afghan people. It's the terrorists, it's the TTP. It doesn't matter what the Indian government say. We all know what the Indian government are like. I know what the Indian government are like. They can just post and print and make videos on anything. There doesn't need to be a shred of proof to it. They seem to get away with all of this in India. There's no moral standard when it comes to journalism or reporting the truth. So they like to say Pakistan were targeting civilians in Afghanistan. That's not the case. Everyone knows that's not the case. They were targeting these TTP terrorists. And rightly so. They had no choice. What else are they supposed to do? And I, for one, as someone who likes to walk around Pakistan and meet the people as a foreigner, I like to make sure that I'm sort of in a safe place. Can you imagine what Pakistan would be like if it wasn't for the retaliatory strikes from the Pakistan army? Can you imagine what it would be like with more bombs going off, people scared, tourists, maybe even people like myself a little bit more wary to be walking the streets? Put it this way, if these people are willing to blow up a masjid, a mosque in Pakistan, and kill brothers of the Ummah, can you imagine what they would do if they seen me? It doesn't bear thinking about it. They might see me as a foreign person, as the golden goose, you know? It's not a nice thought to think that these people could be operating inside Pakistan. So the Pakistan government are doing everything they can to keep these people out. So it doesn't really matter what the Indian government say, oh, that's terrible. They're always quick to condemn Pakistan. Always. You've seen it. I mean, they always print nonsense about me and say, oh, he must be working for the Pakistan government, all because I said something negative about India. That's how they operate. So these were precision strikes at TTP infrastructure. It doesn't matter what Delhi say. Like I said, they've printed so much nonsense about me in the past. Pakistan are defending themselves. What else are they supposed to do? I've looked into this a lot. I've read about it. I've spoken to people. But the hardest bit to swallow is these militants are not hiding in some ungoverned wilderness. They're operating inside a country that Pakistan spent years defending on the world stage. Literally, and everybody knows that. Do you honestly think Pakistan wants a war? Or they want to have conflict with their neighbours? Obviously not. Pakistan defended Afghanistan for years. For decades, Pakistan's poured blood, money and political capital into Afghanistan. You've seen it all over the news. All Pakistan wants is a friendly neighbour on their western border. That's it. Okay, let me say this as a non-Muslim. You would think it's a fellow brothers of the Ummah. Now, I know Pakistan has different religions, but Afghanistan seem to be the country that seem to pride themselves. They seem to think that they are the top echelon when it comes to Islam, but yet they're harbouring terrorists like this. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me at all. We can even go as far back as during the Soviet invasion in the 1980s. Pakistan became the main base for Afghan resistance, training and supporting thousands of fighters who would later form the core of the Taliban movement. Then in the mid-1990s, as the Taliban rose from the chaos of civil war, Pakistan gave them critical support. When the Taliban took Kabul in 1996, Pakistan was one of only 3 countries in the entire world to officially recognise them. Fast forward to 2021, Pakistan played a central role in the Doha peace talks that paved the way for the American withdrawal. It used its long-standing influence to help bring the Taliban back to power. Many in Islamabad saw this as an end to the long, bloody chapter and the beginning of stability on the border. Well, that was the bet. Anyway, that's what everyone in Pakistan and Islamabad thought. So that very government that Pakistan helped to install is now harbouring these terrorists that are killing Pakistani civilians and Pakistani soldiers in Pakistan. It doesn't make sense, does it? Unless someone else is pulling the strings, unless someone else is making stuff happen. Who else benefits from Pakistan being at war with Afghanistan? Have a little think. I'm pretty sure we're all thinking the same country here. Pakistan made it very simple for the Taliban. It couldn't have been any more simple if they tried. 3 things is all Pakistan wanted. Designate the TTP as a terrorist organisation, destroy their infrastructure, and prove it. Prove that you've done it. You do those 3 things, everything's good. Doesn't seem like a hard ask considering the amount of blood and money and help that Pakistan's given Afghanistan over the years. Doesn't seem like a very unreasonable request. So after months of talks in Doha, in Istanbul, and even China brokered talks, what was Kabul's response? Killing more Pakistani soldiers at the border points. That's not the behaviour of a neutral government. That sounds like a government that's already picked a side. And by the looks of it, it isn't the side of Pakistan. So now let's follow the timeline, guys. Because this is where India's fingerprints are just impossible to ignore. Yes, you did guess the country correct. Who benefits from this the most? India. So let's jump back to October 2025. As the first deadly clashes erupt on the Pakistan-Afghan border, India's External Affairs Minister sits down for an in-person meeting with the Taliban's Foreign Minister, Amir Khan Muttaqi. Now this is the first high-level contact since 1999, and almost immediately, India upgrades its mission in Kabul to a full embassy. Now let's jump to November. The Taliban's Commerce Minister lands in Delhi, talking textile hubs and juicy mining rights. In December, the Health Minister visits. Now let's jump to January 2026 this year. The Taliban posts its first formal diplomat in New Delhi. February, India quietly boosts Afghan aid by 27% to 150 crore rupees, even while slashing aid to Bangladesh in half. So every one of these moves lands perfectly, just as Pakistan's bleeding on its western border. And when Pakistan decides enough and strikes back in February, does India sit as a neutral? Of course it doesn't. India is the first one on the news to condemn Islamabad and rushes to defend the Taliban regime's sovereignty. Honestly, ask yourself, when has India ever rushed to defend the Taliban regime's sovereignty? Ever? I had a look online. I can't find it anywhere. Why all of a sudden now is India wanting to defend the Taliban? Unless they're defending the sovereignty of the militants who are being harboured by the Taliban regime. That makes more sense. India's pouring real money and muscle behind this new relationship, funding new air freight corridors from Kabul to Delhi and Amritsar, launching a joint chamber of commerce and making major pledges in mining and pharma. Real infrastructure being built deep inside a country that shares Pakistan's entire western border. You don't build air corridors, joint chambers of commerce, and shiny new embassies with a regime that you think may collapse tomorrow. You build them when you plan to lean on them and you're getting something out of it. Now let's be honest, there's no smoking gun here that links the Indian government to arming the TTP. But when you add it all up and you look at it as a whole, who's benefiting from it? There's only one country that benefits from it. It's certainly not Pakistan. It's certainly not the Afghan Taliban. Who benefits from it? So a government that Pakistan helped to bring to power is now sheltering the terrorists that are killing Pakistan soldiers. A rival neighbouring country that Pakistan's fought 3 wars with and basically fought for the last 70 years is now cozying up and jumping into bed with a regime that they've never once looked at twice and never gave legitimacy to. This is a pattern, and this is exactly what Pakistan is up against. They say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But when you look at this full situation, I can't help but think it's a case of the enemy of my enemy is still my enemy. But let's just blame Pakistan anyways. The Afghan Taliban and the Indian government in Delhi, they're not reaching over the table shaking hands in some new affection. No. This is a cold, calculated move. They're not aligned with shared dreams. It's a shared hostility towards Islamabad. Anybody can see that. Now, I personally can't help, but I see it as both of them reaching over the table in a nice friendly handshake whilst having a dagger behind their back. How long will this friendship, this new friendship last? Call it opportunism, call it a pincer, call it realpolitik. Whatever label you choose, Pakistan's the one paying the price at the border. Pakistan never asked for all this chaos, but it was provoked. It didn't start the fire, but Pakistan seems to be the one that's standing in the middle of the flames, watching a neighbour it once defended and a rival it's faced for 70 years find common cause in Pakistan's pain. Now, you don't need a smoking gun to have a look at this and say who's pulling the strings here, who's benefiting. And I know some of you might say, oh, Callum, why do you care? Why do you care? Well, I spend a large part of the year walking around Pakistan, walking the streets, and I feel perfectly safe. But the only reason I feel safe is because the Pakistan army are trying their best to stop the TTP terrorists and these organisations backed by other governments from carrying out attacks in Pakistan. If these people are willing to blow up a mosque in Islamabad, in the capital, can you imagine what they would do if they got their hands on a foreign tourist in Pakistan? They know that would go all over the world. That would be all over the news. Pakistan's so dangerous, it can't look after its citizens. So I'm glad that these people are out there on the border protecting us. I certainly can sleep a lot better at night in Pakistan knowing that there's people there willing to defend us. When people say, why do you care? I care because I walk the streets and I feel at ease and I feel peaceful in Pakistan. Contrary to what a lot of maybe Western media would portray Pakistan as a dangerous place. It doesn't feel dangerous to me. However, that's thanks to the people that are willing to put their life on the line to help protect and serve the country. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.